Some mornings I wake up and my mind just sort of goes at me. I don't know why it does this, but it feels like it's lashing out. This is wrong, and that should be different, and I can't believe this happened, and this is never going to change. And when that happens, I know that I have two options. Either I can reorient myself and gain back control of my thoughts, or I'm going to give in and have a really, really bad day. So today I thought I'd share how I deal with these attacks and the strategies that I use that help me to shift quickly and pretty easily back into a better feeling state. I'm Kyle Greenfield. I've been a stress and well-being coach for the last 10 years now, and I'm the founder of The Joy Within, where you can find a ton of free courses, guided exercises, and meditations to help you reduce stress and negativity and shift back to your natural state of joy, peace, and well-being. I don't know why some mornings are more difficult than others, but they are. Maybe I didn't sleep very well, maybe my back is bothering, or maybe I just randomly wake up in a bad mood. But I do know that if I don't change, my wife is going to start calling me Mr. Grump-Grump. I'm not kidding. Some mornings she turns to the dog and she says, "Uh-oh, Daphne, Mr. Grump-Grump's here. You'd better go take him for a walk." Anyway, I have a little routine that I go through when this happens, and it usually takes about 20 minutes. Often, the little voice in my head will try to convince me not to do it. It'll try to tell me that, no, I've got too much going on today, I don't have time. But I know that if I don't take this time, I'm going to lose the day. So it's worth the investment. By the way, this little routine follows the path of alignment. If you're new to this process, I'll link to another video that explains the broader strategy and why it works. But when Mr. Grump-Grump shows up, I'm not thinking about any wider theory. I'm thinking of one and only one thing. I need coffee. So that's where I start. I know that the first thing that I need to do is break the chain of thoughts that's running through my mind. But when I'm groggy and complaining about life, I'm not in the mood to do any deep breathing or mindfulness exercise. So I have to start with where I am. And I love the smell of coffee. So my first step is to remember to smell the coffee. I don't know, there's just a richness and a nuttiness to it that I love. And when I breathe that in deeply, I always get some flash of that place I stayed in Guatemala 15 years ago where they roasted coffee beans on the roof. Or that cafe in Haight-Ashbury I used to go to where they served in these huge bowls. Or that morning I spent with my parents watching the sunrise from the Outer Banks. I have a million positive associations with coffee. And when I'm in a bad mood, taking a moment to really take in that aroma helps me to find a break in my negative thoughts and get one of those flashes of memory. So that's step one. It's a split second, and usually it's not enough to get rid of Mr. Grump-Grump. So once my coffee is ready, I pour it into this big mug I have that says, "Not until I've drunk this," and I go off by myself for a few minutes. I'm going to meditate, but I don't call it meditation. I don't know, but when I'm in a bad mood, there's something about meditation that my mind rejects. It thinks of just a monk sitting in lotus position in the mountains. It sounds too formal, and I kind of scoff at it a bit. So I can't meditate, but sitting quietly with a cup of coffee, that I can do. So I trick myself into meditating by sitting with my coffee and letting my mind run. I'll try to breathe a little more deeply, but I don't force it. I might close my eyes, but not always. I just sit there and sip my coffee. After a few minutes, I start to notice that my grumpy thoughts begin to feel less consuming. They're still there, but they start to feel a little less important, a little less pressing. And that's when I start to question them. Sometimes I will point blank call them out on their BS. If I have a thought like, "I hate this situation and there is nothing that I can do about it, it's never going to change," I might think, wait a minute, that's really intense language. I hate this. It's playing the victim card. There is nothing that I can do. And it sounds permanent. It's never going to change. That doesn't sound like something that I actually believe. It sounds like Mr. Grump-Grump lashing out at me. And calling that out doesn't actually change the thought, but it does change the relationship that I have to the thought. And that gives me the ability to start to shift. I can start to ask, do I really hate that? Or is it just annoying? Maybe I'm just tired right now and overreacting to this here. Maybe I'm frustrated because I don't know what to do, so I feel powerless. But that doesn't mean that I can't do anything, or that this will never change. Notice how I'm not trying to force myself into a better mood here. All I'm trying to do is come back to a more neutral state by noticing that these negative thoughts aren't really my beliefs. all I really need to do is come back to myself, to remind myself of what I actually believe, and not be so focused on these negative thoughts that happen to be running through my mind. So the next step is to strengthen those core beliefs, which I like to do by reading. I usually pick something that's spiritual or kind of self-helpy. It doesn't matter if it's completely new or if it's something I've read a dozen times. It might be a productivity hack on trying to break down my goals. Or it might be a spiritual passage on learning to love what is. It doesn't really matter. The point is to refocus my thoughts on a belief that I already hold. As I shift my focus in this way, the negative thoughts start to dissipate. They don't have space in my mind. Mr. Grump-Grump gets locked out. From that stillness, I nudge myself gently to think about the day ahead. Broad strokes. I have to go to work, then I have an appointment at lunch, then work again, and if I have time in the afternoon, maybe I'll go to the gym. I like to keep this very general, especially if my grumbling had been about something I don't like about the day ahead. I don't want to re-engage those negative thoughts. I have found that if I sit mostly still and just very generally think about my day, eventually I'm going to have an idea. It starts softly at first. It's a quiet, oh, but what if I did this? And I just allow myself to sit into it. As I spend a little more time there, I start to feel more curious about it. Then it becomes interesting. And as I continue to sit with it, more ideas start to flow. This is how I enter into a state of alignment and flow. I just sit into the ideas without needing anything from them. Eventually, I start to feel more excited, start to feel more confident and certain. And that's when I get up and go about my day. And that's how I turn around my morning when I wake up in a bad mood. I think the key takeaway here is that at each step, I meet myself where I am. I never try to force myself into a step that I'm not ready for. And it's not about having a specific rigid routine that I go through. It's about having a guiding arc and then adapting that arc to where I am today. I know that first I need to interrupt my thoughts. Then I need to gain clarity. Then I need to shift those negative thoughts. Then I need to strengthen my core beliefs. And then I'm able to get into flow. Then I fit the specific actions I take into that broader framework. This is what the path of alignment is all about. I have a framework that I trust, that I know will shift me into a better state. And I apply that to where I am today. So thank you so much for your time and your energy here today. Don't forget to check out that other training on the path of alignment so you can go into more detail on how you can apply this for yourself. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you love. At The Joy Within, our mission is to create a happier and more peaceful world, one thought at a time. So head over to thejoywithin.org for more free trainings, guided strategies, and meditations to help you become calmer, more confident, and more fulfilled as you go about each day.